There we go. All right. Got to push buttons to make this thing work. Give me a second. I am still setting up. Um, Going live here. Now, one moment. Still setting up. I wonder how this works if I share it to X. Shit. Where is it? I don't have it there. God damn it. Hold on. Let me see if I got something else here. Sure to what's up? Sure. Let me share. No, that's not what I want. Close that. So, what is Goo? Dude, there's so many social media apps things that I have no idea. All right, so we're gonna do that. What's the other thing I can do? Can I not just copy this and who cares? All right. So we're still going. Don't you guys worry about that. Just another second here. I need my stuff. This is what we're gonna just brew 1 cup of coffee. This. And turn off that light. All right, let's go. Let's get it going. All right. Oh shit. Hold on. Let's do this. And we're going to this right. Turn this one off. And maybe what? All right. You see here. Sounds good. All right. We are live. Hopefully that looks good. One of the things I was working on is I was working. Yeah, we got sound. I was working on a little bit of the flare that was going there. And one of the things I did was I just switched the camera around just in case there was a little bit of dirt on that other camera. I looked at it, it was clean. I switched the lighting setup behind me. I got one of these little Ulanzi 40-watt light bulbs, and it looks to um, good light over the stove. That's all I need for now. So, um, in case you're keeping score at home, okay? All right. So one of the things, as you can see here, actually, is I brewed already a big old. Uh, this is was about a liter of coffee that I am going to. Um, at the moment, it's actually sitting here, cooling down on this side. And what I'm going to do is actually, start over here. I'm going to actually put it in the fridge and have it for iced coffee tomorrow. Um, Difference in the coffee making world, apparently. And I just learned this because I called everything ice brewed or cold brew. I didn't use cold brew. I just use ice coffee versus cold brew. So technically, what I'm going to have here is I made coffee the old-fashioned way. Well, I'll show you how I make my coffee here in a second. Um, and I made the coffee the old-fashioned way. Now I'm letting it cool just enough to put it in the fridge to have iced coffee tomorrow, cold coffee, right? But what we're going to do today is make cold brew coffee, okay? And the difference is that we basically brew the coffee in the fridge. I put it in there for 48 hours. That seems to be the wheelhouse, and I think one of the reasons uh, that I do that is because I don't use as much coffee. I just let it sit for longer. My range, my ratio of coffee is I really do 20 grams per about 200 milliliters of water, right in there. 17, okay, whatever. But I think it's the way that I brew coffee, comparatively speaking, to something else. Just the little extra 3 grams gives me a little bit more of what I want. Um, so, but tonight, first thing we're going to do actually is make myself some regular coffee. All right. I buy these. These aren't this glass or cup or whatever. As you can see, I all this is for my coffee. I don't wash it like with soap and water after a while. I just rinse it out, see, and then dump it out, and then that's it. I've had this for 3 months now. It's my favorite little thing. It's coffee just for me, and that's it. This is how I measure it out. Um, this is 300, probably more like 350 grams. You know what? Let's measure it out. Let's measure it out. We got the utensils here. So I just fill this up with water, right up to the top, the thing there. And I'm gonna figure out we're working this together. We're working this together. I got my water here, and I just fill this up with water. And right up to the neck there is no, that's 400. No, that's 400. All right, all right, all right. I see you. I see you. 400. So we're learning. That was my ratio. All right. It's 400 per 20 milliliters. Well, to be honest, I usually put a little bit more than that, but um, that's all right. That's all right. Um, I do, but this is my ratio. Caught myself lying. All right, so we're gonna get this tear it out here. Well, first thing we're gonna do is here. Let's do this. Watch. Let's go over to the stove. We're gonna get this brewing. All right, and we're gonna put a little bit of cinnamon in there. I'm gonna make the classic Mexican-ish, what they call café de la olla. Throw a little bit of cinnamon in there. All right. And here's where I diverse in the sense that you can put sugar or some sort of sweetener in there. I don't. Um, I don't need it. I don't necessarily. Once in a blue moon, I'll be in the mood for it. But we don't. I usually don't. I'm gonna stick one clove in there, and I have. Let me see here. I actually have an orange, fresh orange. So what we're gonna do is just zest a little bit of zest. Throw that in there. See that? That's it. Now we're gonna let that boil, and then we're gonna get it going. The true recipe to this, and it all varies household to household, right? But what we can do sometimes is I don't know if you guys know what this is, but this is called piloncillo. And this is very much like, shit, let me just open this here. This is very much, it's a cone. It's very akin to brown sugar with a slightly different taste. I think it's delicious. And if I didn't have sugar problems, I'd probably put some in there. Normally, something like this would go into a big old pot, maybe of uh, 2 liters worth of stuff. But right now, we're just making 400 milliliters of water, and so we'll go from there. All right, so that's what we're doing there. Okay, so here's what we do for my cold brew. Um, while that's boiling, we will. While that's boiling, we'll go ahead and go with the cold brew. Now, for the cold brew, I fill uh, this up. I just happen to know that this holds 1.5 um, liters of water. I have measured that one out beforehand. Um, so, that's true. Take my word on that one for sure. All right. Um, so we got this this coffee right here. I'm gonna tell you about this coffee. So this coffee, I bought this coffee off the street like some crackhead. I've ended up buying uh, a kilo, one from each person, and I've never bought coffee like that. They're just people on the stands like you would buy bread, like you would buy fruit, like you would buy anything else. But I've never seen coffee being sold on the street like that. So I thought it was pretty funny, right? So I ended up buying some, and it turns out, so the coffee is from all my coffee is from Veracruz, and I think I've showed this before, but I'll show it again. Oh, well, let's take a look here. 1 second. So we are boiling. See how fast that came to boil? Let's turn that off right there. Let's turn that off. All right. So let me get this coffee for you. Just so I went to coffee, and I think I mentioned this before, but I don't know if I released it. But this is all the coffee that I got when I was in Veracruz. Okay, Veracruz is known for coffee, like Chiapas, like Colombia. Well, maybe not like Colombia because it's not as known. All right, we all know Juan Valdez from the coffee commercials, right? So I came back with this much coffee. This is a kilo. These are ground up. They didn't sell ground coffee or whole coffee there, so I had to get this. This is I bought this off a lady in Nalinco. It's actually Coatepec. She assures me, and if and this one too. This one's the honey brand. This is one of my favorites. The other coffee that I bought, I already put it up in my little jars like this. So, but yeah, this is all the coffee that I have, and I'm going back in July, and I'm going to grab. Um, I will be grabbing a lot more coffee just to have and drink. And you know what? I didn't used to drink that much coffee, but when you taste it and you find how you like it, man, you are you find it, and it's great. You know, this is how we do it. All right, so here is so we got that zeroed out. All right, let's take a look here. We got that zeroed out, right? And I ended up grabbing one of these little things from Amazon, and I was going to use it for something else, but it works great for this. And this is usually what I do. I grab a scoop, put it in there, let it roll, because I don't measure stuff anymore. How much is that? Oh, that's 31. All right, so that's 31. All right, so we're learning. Uh, you know, see, here's the thing. All right, we're eyeballing. I've been eyeballing stuff, and this has been my coffee and how I go to and how it matters. But when we get to 31, all right, when you think about it, we are now back to the more or less right around the 17 per 200 mil ratio. I got 400 mil right there, right? So turns out I'm not doing anything special with the ratios. I'm not doing anything special with the ratios. So um, we're learning. We're learning. All right, 8 seconds is what I give it on there. Watch your ears. Something like that. For safety reasons, always disconnect. I turn this over like this. Again, if people know a better way to get my coffee out, let me know. But I think that's the way you do it. All right, let's go over here. Now, dump it. You can give it a little squeeze or a little squeeze, a little turn. I usually don't. And that, well, we're back to flares. Sorry, we're back to flares. That light didn't last at all. Anyway, I see a little clump in there, so we're going to do that. All right, we're going to let it brew now for at least 5 minutes, right? Which should be just enough time to brew our regular coffee. All right, so here's what we do. All right. So I grab, I buy all my coffee from Veracruz. It's great. I love it. What are you gonna do? I have to travel very far to get my coffee, especially what I wanted to, the kind that I like, and especially like this type of coffee that we have here. This is toasted on the street. Um, this coffee right here, it's toasted on the street. The guy does all the toasting there, so it's zeroed out, and we're just going to put a couple of these in here so we don't over um, charge the overfill this. So uh, so everything is done right there. It's not some sort of master class, master brewer, or whatever it is. It is, man. I always disconnect, people. Always disconnect while you're messing with these things. You don't want to blow off a finger doing this. All right. So here's about 50. Technically, it was 48, I believe. Um, so it there, it's done right on the street there, and man, I tell you what. See, that was about 55, so it evens out, right? So they know what they're doing, which is surreal to me. But it's can I eventually get a bad batch? Probably. I don't know. Maybe. But what it is. Now, on a technical point, one of the things that I like doing about going live instead of recording these and probably getting you a cleaner video edit. First of all, this is real. Okay. If I mess up, I mess up, you know, whatever. Okay. Um, we're live, we're in color, we're learning. As you can see that I thought my ratios were, um, one thing. They're not. They're nothing special. They're right in line with your regular 17 per 200 milligrams for your cup of coffee, right in there, give or take a little bit. All right, so this is the I'm just gonna throw the stick. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll grind it, but this is cinnamon I bought in Jalapa in the market from a cool old guy. Um, there. Let's see how much we're gonna put in here now. Did I turn it off? 48. All right, here we go. That's 4 grams. That's actually a lot of cinnamon, I think. But we're gonna do it right. 6 grams. That's enough cinnamon. I'll grind it up. It's just to kind of have more coverage while it's in there, right? So we'll grind it up. Give it another 8 seconds too. Perfect. That's enough. All right. Grinding up cinnamon. See, it's not even fine grind. It's just a bunch of pieces. But grinding it up really cleans out the end of the. Throw that in there. Now, where's our water? Some leftover. Like I said, I already know that this is exactly. It is exactly 1.5 liters. So that's all we're going to do. We're just going to fill it up with water. Don't need to do much to it, really, even though I just like to make sure everything gets soaked. All right, right up to there. Put that on the side here. I don't shake it. I don't do anything with it. This is going to go straight in the fridge. I got to make room in the fridge, but that's where we're going to 48 hours. So right now, it is Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. On the 28th of May in the year of our Lord, 2024. All right. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at night by 9 o'clock, we should have coffee that's ready to brew if we're going to drink it at night, but more than likely it'll be ready for Friday morning. Now, that's the reason why I ended up brewing some hot coffee, and we're going to throw that in the fridge to um, have that tomorrow morning. All right. So now let's do this. Okay. So we got, remember our, this actually, I might have room. God, we'll see here. Let's take a look here. Oh, we got room. All right. We got this milk that is probably the perfect amount of milk I'm going to need. I'm going to stick this in the back of the fridge and let that brew for 48 hours. Probably set an alarm for it or something. All right. So let's take a look here. So our little glass here. Let me see how much milk I got. Yes, I like milk with my coffee. And that's about the perfect amount of it's a little less milk than I want. But we'll put it in here, in there. Minute and a half gets it right about right on there. Let me let's take a look here. So we'll put this back. I put this in this little tray because I have it set up over in my my coffee location over there. And my coffee location over here is basically over here is normally where I make my coffee. So I don't know if you can see, I got my this is just cooling down a little bit for my what I'm going to put in the fridge today. I'm experimenting with these little deli receptors and just wanted to make sure it didn't melt. They're supposed to they're supposed to be made for the um, what do you call it? For heat soups and stuff. And yes, I've heated up soups in there before, so I wasn't really but worried about it, but just in case, all right. Um, I guess what I'll do is I'll bring this over there um, and show you how I'm going to make this. So I got a strainer. I got that straining right there. Um, let's go over here. So the coffee is brewed. This is going here. All right. Where is my towel? Put this here. All right. So we're gonna treat ourselves today. Okay. We're gonna treat ourselves today. And again, we're eyeballing this. That milk is super hot. This vanilla is natural from the mountains of Papantla. You know, just a dab will do you. Papantla is where the El Tajín ruins are. Um, Badass vanilla. I actually had to buy a suitcase because you can't carry that on the airplane because it's well, it's too large to put it in the carry-on. Um, I'm gonna froth this. The other thing you can do in case you didn't have one of these little spinning things is you can cover the mason jar up. Make sure you have a towel around it when you grab it, because of course the milk will be hot, and then just shake it a lot, and it'll break up the. It'll get you nice and frothy like that too. Okay. Um, make sure we rinse that off to put it in there. All right. So since my other coffee thing is being used, coffee strainer, I got this off of Amazon. And it works great. Um, just look up coffee filter and find something like this. These you got to buy in Mexico. I have no, maybe they have them in Amazon, but these are making a comeback. Of course, you see, in the bigger one, and like I said, I just pour it in there, and this gets most of this stuff in here. Bam! Look at that. All right, all right. Put that off to the side over here. Don't need that. And then just to make sure we got a great mix, one of these days you guys got to go to La Parroquia in Veracruz. Um, it's an experience. They have the milk guys that um, have these pedals, and they go off all the way up here. But we're just gonna go right in there and make sure we got our coffee, la lechera, our cafe au lait. And that's how I make my coffee here in on the live stream today. I got to get back to work. I got a little bit more work I need to do as far as man, work is killing me with a lot of bullshit. I've been at this job for 10 years, and I'm going to give you the sob story, not being appreciative, this, that, and the other. But one of the reasons that company is in existence is because I played a pretty decent role in what I was doing in the very beginning, within the first couple of years. I was the only one doing the job that I'm doing now, and of course now the company has got a team of half a dozen people doing it. That's the company has grown, and that's the point of the company, right? The issue is that I never wanted to advance in the corporate world anymore. I do my job. I do what I got to do. They don't even pay me as a regular employee. Um, but whatever. Cheers. Ooh, it's a good cup of coffee. That's a good cup of coffee right there. Listen, listen, listen. You saw me put the zest in there. Don't put too much. Just a little bit like that. That was 400 grams of water, remember. One clove is more than enough. Um, hell, I would even tell you that one clove would be enough for 500 liters. Um, and it'll bring out the taste even probably at about a liter of water. Be careful with cloves. They look tiny. That's the thing, is that they look tiny. And if you don't know, um, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And so is the zest. You saw how much zest I just peeled. I just did. This was the big one. Let me see here. Let's go over here. Maybe this angle will be better. So this one was the big one that I did a liter, big fatto, and this is the little one that I just did for this coffee right here. All right. Um, that's all I did for this. So the zest, when you brew stuff, as I come to find out, and again, I'm no expert. This is just all trial and error for me. When you brew stuff and heat it up, it tends to bring out more of the flavors um, uh, than not. So it is what it is. As opposed to bringing the ratio down a little bit and let it sit in the fridge for 48 hours to get it brewed. And I'm going to taste the difference because the way that I made that coffee that's cooling down is pretty much the same as we made here, more or less. Man, that's good. And uh, so we'll see the big difference. I do think that the iced coffee has mellower taste overall. So I like that. Um, and and again, I told you when I do cold coffee, I like using. You can use. Right now, all I got is whole milk. I think that's all I got. But you can use almond milk. That's pretty decent too. Even if you want the unsweetened almond vanilla milk, that's delicious. But with hot coffee, I only go whole milk. I don't like any other type of milk on that, um, and just the way that it tastes, I guess. I don't know. It ends up being a big difference for me where it'll kill the coffee. But you can see that was it. That was I don't French press anymore. Um, I don't really see the difference on that. I don't feel that that's where I need to go. When I'm doing it and doing it this way, it seems everything just seems to be done a lot faster for whatever reasons. It's probably not. It's probably not. It's probably done just the same amount of time. Um, just make sure you don't put your coffee in there when it's boiling. Don't do that. Turn it off. Let it sit for a little bit. If you got a thermometer, let it go down to I think about 200 uh, um, Fahrenheit. I'm processing Fahrenheit and Celsius. I don't even know what Celsius is right now on that, but 200 Fahrenheit. And just let it sit. Don't put it in there right after boiling. Turn it off after the boil. Let it sit for a little bit. Have it calm down a little bit, and then throw your coffee in there. You saw I just let it sit. The only reason I stirred it this time is because there was a clump in there that happens. Happens every once in a while. Stir it, don't stir it, doesn't matter. It'll all get soaked up eventually. Um, Now, you want the science of it and how it works and all that jazz. There's a ton of different YouTube channels you can get out there that are very knowledgeable on coffee. Bless them. The knowledge that they put out is how I got here today, how I make my coffee with experience, and also how the grandmothers in Mexico make their coffee. And I've been making it for generations, that it brought me to this point as well. It's a little bit of experience and the scientific knowledge of why it is what it is. The big difference between me and those grandmothers out there is that I measure out my coffee. I just don't eyeball it every day so that I get a consistent taste. Grandmothers over there and people that make a lot of coffee don't need that. They've been making coffee the same way in their house. They have the same utensils they use over and over again. My cousins and my cousins' friends all have a little pot that looks similar to this. Um, or sometimes they don't even make it this way anymore. They use good old coffee, Mr. Coffee machines, you know. So, but this way you can taste the coffee. It's delicious to me the way that I like it. It's better. It's better than the Keurig. See the Keurig in the back? It's covered up. My buddy gave me a fancy one because he went to French pressing as well. Um, I don't know if on another one I already showed you all the different types of methods I have with my coffee, but this is my go-to when I do this. And I'm thinking about um, one of the reasons I went live today, as we have a little coffee talk here, is this accountability in the grandiose sense of the word. What are we accountable for? How are we being responsible for the things that we do and the way that we are? And I look at that in every sense of the word. Like, why am I fat? Well, I need to take accountability because of these things. Why? And a lot of it has to do with not having a routine. There's this kid. Uh, it's Sky Money is what he calls himself. It's Sky. The channel's a Sky. All right. Um, you'll find him Sky Gear Review, and he's big on DJI and Sony cameras. If you want to look him up, you'll find him that way. Very easy. Lives in Amsterdam. Um, he's from, I think he's originally from Chicago and ended up in Atlanta for a lot of times. And then the world, as the world turns, he ends up in Harlem, but in Amsterdam. Um, so I've been following him because of gear reviews. Okay. And ends up, he has reviews on gears that I wanted to get and that I did end up getting because of some of the messages, some of the reviews that he come up, and some of the pros and cons of what it is. And while he wasn't the sole reason that I got that equipment, he had a part in it. He had a part in it. But he's charismatic. He puts out info. I believe him as far as credibility for this gear in the world in YouTube, where it seems like the most famous people that have that are reviewing gear and that are talking to you about cameras, and this could apply for anybody. If you're into sewing, somebody's talking about sewing machines. If you're into baseball, somebody's talking about batting stances. If you're into football, somebody's talking about uh, gear. If you're into cooking, somebody's talking about stuff. And it's very difficult to start to discern from which people are honest with their experiences and how they tell you what how they've accomplished certain things or how they use certain things. It's very difficult to tell those people apart from the people who have an agenda to sell you stuff. And I'm all for salesmanship, but there's got to come a line where you need to be accountable for the shit that you peddle, and not trying to sell me overpriced bullshit that doesn't work solely because it's got your name because you ended up being a very big influencer on YouTube. And that's one of the problems that I have with doing this way. When I buy gear, and as from my world, it applies for camera. I well, let's apply this for the cooking show too. I have an Instapot for the past 5-6 years. I watched about 40 hours worth of YouTube video on all Instapots and recipe and whether it was going to be good enough for me. Um, I end up now I have three: small, medium, large. That's what I have, and I love Instapot. Instapots are great. Um, but I did a lot of research, and you start to feel the people that, if you're watching this channel, you probably have this sense of people too, where there's a bunch of dump and go recipes on these channels, and a lot of times I don't think that they've ever tasted any of the food that they have. I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Why would you cook this way? Um, the dump and go spaghetti recipes were the ones that were blowing my mind. Like, I think we can use the Instapot, but we don't need to completely overuse it. Anyway, this gentleman, Sky, he has a channel today, and he was talking about bad habits. How I found him was through gear reviews for things, and what I ended up basically staying for is his stories. He actually took a little pivot on his channel and is sharing more of his life and more of the things, which I appreciate. Actually, I think it's weird that people overshare, and I might talk about that some other time. But I think that it's good that we get a personal touch, although we don't get his entire life or anything like that. I do believe that he puts more of his life on tape or in the universe than I would. I don't. I would if I had children. I don't think I'd put them on um, that way. Anyway, he was talking about today's episode that I saw um, was talking about bad habits and how we get into them, how he breaks them, and his personal bad habits, and what he's trying to break, how he gets into them, and things like that. To where he's not trying to. The other thing I appreciate is that he's not trying to tell you how to live your life, and I would never do that to anyone. But what he's trying to do is share his experiences to hopefully help other people in one way, shape, or form, which I appreciate. And in a sense, it's somehow helping me to at the very least think about bad habits that I need to start breaking. And it's one of these things too where I look at myself, and I'm an old cat. I'm getting there. Um, I'll be 50 next year. All right. I'm gonna be 49 in a couple months here. Um, he looks like if he's 30, he don't look it. He looks like a young buck, maybe late 20s, early 30s, somewhere in there. And I appreciate the fact that these young fellas have things that I can listen to and influence me in that way and help me motivate myself in a little different way. So I jumped on here, this coffee thing, because I need to start thinking, okay, well, I need to have some sort of, this is my newfound toy, even though nobody's watching or anything. But I need to be held kind of accountable if I do want to start kind of half-ass creating stuff, or at least half-ass expressing myself in a way where I get to use the gear that I love, which is camera, image making, audio, and get to have real practical use out of it. Like I'm thinking I'm going to convert my podcast into this. I think the audio is going to be good enough. Instead of speaking into a microphone, speaking into the lav mic, um, I can have AI can now doctor it up if it doesn't feel comfortable with people. But I like the audio that works. I'm recording it twice before it gets up into the into to you, into the live stream. Uh, so it gets to the point where, like, all right, this whole thing here, I want to use it more. And how do I use it more? By making more content, thinking about how to cook, and in turn, that kind of generates a thing where, like, I'm not ordering out so much. I'm not. I'm going to say, okay, today we're going to cook spaghetti. Even if I make a pizza, let's go on here, do a live stream on how to cook a live pizza, and get that done. Um, so yeah, that's one of the reasons that I just jumped on here today, made my little self a cup of coffee before I get back to work, and basically used my lunch hour to do something like this. It's one of the things about working from home. Anyway, you all take it easy. That's it for this one. Um, Hopefully, I'll talk to you maybe tomorrow morning. I don't know. We'll make some eggs or something. Peace out.